If I can have your attention, we'll go ahead and get started here in the Media Center, Daytona International Speedway, with the first of 3 availabilities this weekend with our manufacturers and team owners to preview the Daytona 500 and the 2019 season. Sitting from left to right here, we're joined by Jim Campbell, the U.S. Vice President of Performance Vehicles and Motorsports for Chevrolet, Mr. Richard Childress Racing, Rick Hendrick Motorsports, Chip Ganassi with Chip Ganassi Racing, and Richard Petty Motorsports. Jim, let's start with you. Talk to us about what Chevrolet has happening in 2019.
Well, it's going to be an exciting year, both on the track and in our showrooms. In our showrooms, we're introducing a host of new products, including our new 2019 Silverado. You'll see them all over our displays here at Daytona. New Blazer is back, doing really well. It's a big year for our company in the showroom, and then on the track, we got our racing started here a few weeks ago at the Rolex 24 Hours of Daytona, where we raced the Corvettes in the GTLM category, and then our sister brand Cadillac ran and won overall. But for Chevrolet, really excited to start here with the NASCAR season. Last weekend, very exciting with the qualifying effort with Chase and Alex locking up the front row. And last weekend, the first 5 positions showing really good individual car speed. So really looking forward to the year. Great things happening with NASCAR. We're working very closely as part of the NASCAR OEM Council on kind of marketing fan experience as well as the competition side. So we're looking forward to the year, and it's a real honor to be racing with Richard, Rick, Chip, and Richard Petty. 3 Hall of Famers for NASCAR, and Chip obviously has won every big race in every category. So a real honor to be here with them and with you all.
Thanks, Jim. Richard, you were in here yesterday talking a little bit about 50 years of Richard Childress Racing. Can you talk a little bit about how your relationship with Chevrolet over the years has been such an instrumental part of your success?
Well, I was racing Chevys way before '69, but I ran a '69 Camaro here in Daytona 50 years ago, and it's been a great ride. We wouldn't be where we are today. RCR wouldn't be here without General Motors and all the support from Chevy engineering, all the help that they've got. I think we had the very first engineer, which was Alba back in the 80s, I think it was. So they've been really great for RCR, and they've been great for the sport. You know, when you get a manufacturer like GM behind the sport, we've won so many championships over the years. All of us have. It's just been a great honor.
Yes, sir. Rick, can you talk a little bit about how you and your team, your organization work with Chevrolet to prepare for a racing season?
Again, congratulate Richard on 50 years. That's quite an accomplishment, man. Ever since the beginning with Chevrolet, I mean, I started with Harry Hyde, and we had basically nothing. And the engineering and the support from Chevrolet has been remarkable over the years. They've been there. That's all I've ever raced. And to me, to get to see the products that come to the track early, like the Camaros and the new Silverado, and to race the cars that we're going to sell, it's been really cool for me. But my relationship with Chevrolet goes back to my first deal in 1976. And I remember the first 2 blocks they gave me. And I thought that was a big deal. I got 1 set of sheet metal with 2 blocks. No, it's been a great ride, and I think the thing about the bow tie in my life has been it's always stood for performance, whether it's the Corvettes or the Camaros, drag racing, oval track racing, road racing, and that's been the kind of the heritage, and I've just been lucky to be a part of it all my life.
Thank you. Chip, heading into the 2019 season with 2 very talented drivers, Kyle Larson and Kurt Busch, can you talk about your expectations for this season?
Thank you. Yeah, first I want to congratulate Richard Childress on 50 years of racing. I just got to 25 and I thought it was a hell of a long time. And I got a long way to go, I guess. And I got a long way to go to catch these three guys that are sitting up here with me in terms of their history in the sport. I can tell you. I got to be honest with you, ladies and gentlemen. It's one of the. I got to pinch myself sometimes I'm sitting up here on the dais with these people, all because of General Motors and their history in the sport. Yeah, I won some championships with them in IndyCar racing, but I got a little ways to go here yet. And so I'm honored to be just even to be accepted by these other three team owners up here as part of the group, and obviously with General Motors with their tradition and history in motorsports, just to be a part of that is something that I was a kid I would only dream of. And so, having said that, I look forward to 2019 with Kyle and Kurt, and my expectation is to have two cars in Miami and still running for the championship.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Petty, you've been around the sport for quite a while. Can you talk a little bit about the landscape of NASCAR today and your thoughts heading into the 2019 season?
You know, it's really hard to say. The Daytona race basically is a continuation of last year. We go to Atlanta, whole new way of inspection and all this stuff. So it's going to be a pretty exciting deal to get started with. And like I say, I've been here a long time, seen a lot of changes, and you know, some of them are good, some of them are bad. The whole deal is trying to put it all together, not only for everybody involved. When you get everybody involved, that means, you know, the fans, the news, the workers, the owners, all this kind of stuff. Get them all on the same page. And NASCAR is doing everything they can, I think, and the drivers and the owners are doing everything they can to kind of, you know, go to the next level with our racing. And, you know, again, starting the season next week in Atlanta, basically, is going to be an exciting deal. So I think everybody's looking forward to that. And, you know, we're looking forward to staying and doing our deal with the Chevrolet deals. They've been real good to us as far as, you know, working with Richard Childress and working with Chevrolet. It's been a big plus for Richard Petty Motorsports. And, you know, we got a new driver with our driver, so he's going to, you know, Bubba's got a lot to learn. He's been to all the tracks last year, so we're looking forward to a lot better things this year.
Thank you, gentlemen. We got time for a few questions from our media. If you'll raise your hand, we'll get a mic to you. We'll start up front here with Holly and then work our way towards the middle there in the back.
Good morning, Holly Kane with the NASCAR Wire Service, and really any of you could answer this, but it feels like that there's a little bit more of the manufacturers all sticking together in the races, maybe more so than I can remember in some recent seasons. Certainly, you know, the Chevys all getting together, the Toyotas or the Fords. Could you just kind of talk about that and what that strategy may be, especially for at Daytona?
Maybe I'll start. I mean, clearly at a race like this, you know, working together where you can makes a lot of sense. That's what we're doing. All things being equal, with the Chevy drivers work with the Chevy drivers, particularly obviously in the draft. With that said, race car drivers is very situational, and so they got to read the track, they got to read the competitors, and I think that in the end, the drivers have got to really make those decisions on what they're going to do in the situation. I got all these folks have driven race cars and they manage, you know, successful teams, and we have to do both. We have to be working together when it makes sense, and then we also have to recognize that it's situational for the drivers. One thing I think, you know, last weekend, last night, number of cars on the track, we never really got a lower line going. I think in the race we'll have a chance to do that, and so I think that's going to be an opportunity for our drivers to work together, but also being really, really sensitive to what's the situation and how they get to the front.
We'll go back here to the middle to Dustin, and then we'll come over here to Mark.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. I'll just ask this for Rick and Chip. As the sport has looked to contain cost for teams and help teams out, are there particular areas that shouldn't be regulated, that teams still should be able to allow them to spend whatever they want? And if there was something like for lack of a better term, a cap of something like 10 to 12 million per team car, is that something that's reasonable for you guys?
Thank you. Well, you know, I think racers they're gonna spend whatever they got to spend to get the job done. I think NASCAR has done a good job of trying to hold costs down. And I mean, there's a lot of work going on with our CFOs, not just the Chevy teams, but all of the team owners and presidents are working together to look at what we're spending and how we can do it less. And I think in the future, you're going to see other things happen with the cars and engine packages that's going to reduce the cost. And so NASCAR is really on it. And when you look at it, we talk about a spending cap. I don't know how you regulate that with all we have going on. I mean, but I think everything's on the table, and I think they've done a great job of. We are in constant communication. There's nothing going on with NASCAR that teams don't know about. Nothing going on with the teams that NASCAR doesn't know about. So we're working hard on it. So I think we're making progress with you, Richard. I think it'll continue to get better.
We'll go to Mark, and then Nate, then Lewis.
Mark Darrell, PR, and this is for all the car owners there at the table. NASCAR's rule now that, you know, if you're caught with something after the race, number one, it's going to be good that we know exactly who the winner is Sunday and not have something pop up on a Tuesday or Wednesday. But how do you deal with that, and do you agree with, you know, this now very clear-cut line? If you're caught with something after the race, there's no such thing as an encumbered win or any foolishness like that.
You know, I think it's good. I think what they're doing, if they'll stick to it, it's going to be better for all of us. You know, but racers are competitive, and they're going to do everything they can to get the advantage. But if you know going in that you're going to get your hands slapped if you win the race, you're going to be a little more careful how you do it. We got hit on the first round. We lost we lost the car chief, and the 13 lost one. So we had a meeting after that, and I got everybody's attention, I hope.
How do you?
Yeah, I think, you know, I look at it like, you know, we heard so much about, I'm going to make the connection in a second, but, you know, we heard so much about them improving the facilities here at Daytona, you know, because the people up in those grandstands are, you know, they want the same amenities that they have in an NFL game or in Major League Baseball. And so I think kind of concurrent with that, they don't want all this murkiness in trying to understand what happens when a race is over, if a guy made it, he didn't, but they want to have they want to have more rules that are of today and that are comparable to other sports, and those are our competitors are the NFL and Major League Baseball, you know, the major sports. If we're a major sport, we have to govern like one, and we need to react like one to certain issues.
Let's go to Nate, over to Lewis, and then to Martin.
Nate Ryan, NBC Sports. Whoever wants to take this, great, maybe King, because he hasn't said anything yet. How do you feel like the quality of the racing has been like so far during Speed Weeks? And has NASCAR given you guys any indication that they might make a change for something?
I haven't seen a whole lot of difference this year than any of the rest of the years. I think they're a little bit closer on inspection. Like I said, they haven't caught 3 or 4 of us doing things. And but other than that, again, this year, the rules down here are pretty much what they were last year. they're just tightening up on the rules. Other than that, I don't see a lot of changes.
Do you think the racing's been good so far?
No, I don't.
I think the biggest thing is, you know, we haven't seen full fields out there. You get 40 cars out there, you're gonna see a different race.
They see in one lane, you're gonna see two lanes, so it's gonna be a lot different when the race starts.
Trying to save your primary car. And remember, this is the last race for this car. So we go to Talladega, it's gonna be different.
We'll go over here to the left to Louis Frank.
Yes, for Rick, over here on your right, your left, excuse me, Louis Frank Reuters. Just like the Federal Open Market Committee is data-driven, NASCAR is becoming data-driven. As someone who's involved in a lot of business, how do you balance gathering data with having personnel and travel? How do you balance the two?
Well, you know, you're forced to use the data, and some of the teams had the data before others did, and some of the organizations had them before others did. But it's good information, especially for a young driver, to be able to see throttle traces, braking, wheel angles, all the things that you can capture. But, you know, it still comes down to the talent in the seat and someone calling the race and getting on and off pit road, no mistakes. But we're in a data-driven society. I mean, the way we go to market, the internet has changed the world, the way people shop, and I think it's only natural that it kind of works its way into our sport.
We'll go back over here to the right to Martin, and then to Greg.
Richard, 40 years ago, you won this race, I guess on the last lap. I mean, snowbound country, flag-to-flag coverage on TV. And yet everyone remembers the fight between Gail and Bobby and Donnie. How important do you think that was to NASCAR history, and what did you make of the deal?
It was one of the high points of NASCAR. Put NASCAR on the nationwide map. Okay, even though Winston had come in 71, I guess, and they started taking NASCAR all over the country, and we had tracks all over the country. But in '79, you know, they had the great snowstorm. There wasn't but 3 TV stations at that particular time, and if you're gonna watch TV, then the racing was probably what people were watching. And then, you know, the people that heard about racing and stuff, you know, they knew it was like a Southern sport deal. You come down the last lap, and you see the rednecks come out in the racing part of it. So I think that was it probably could not have played. It was a perfect storm the way it wound up with the weather, the way that the race ended, and then you know, I think that was my 6th win. So you know what I mean. And so one of the heroes won. I hope it was heroes anyway. But you know, so you had it, everything that you could put into a program, you had it that day. So I think being flag to flag, green flag and stuff, it couldn't have been a better footstep for NASCAR at that particular time.
We'll go to Greg Engel and then finish up with Al Pierce.
Hi guys, Greg Engel, Auto Week. I have one for Jim and then a quick follow-up from Mr. Hendrick. The automotive market obviously shifted to SUVs. We're going away from sedans. How hard is it to keep motorsports relevant in the marketplace to help sell these vehicles? Because ultimately that's what you want to do. As the challenge goes, as we're shifting to SUVs, how hard is it to keep motorsports relevant?
Well, for us, as a company, you know, literally over 100 years old, motorsports has been part of what we've done. Louis Chevrolet, co-founder of Chevrolet, him and his brothers raced at Indy, and that began kind of this tradition of performance and racing. And all the changes in the auto industry, racing has been a constant for our company in one form or another. So I expect that we will find a way to continue to make it relevant. I mean, for sure, propulsion technologies, the lessons you learn on aerodynamics, downforce drag, all of the ways we prepare our cars are relevant for what we do for our showroom vehicles. And Camaro, we've got, Camaro, we're still selling Camaro in the showrooms, selling the Camaro Z1 in the showroom, racing on the track, the SS in the showroom, racing on the track, and Xfinity, and so on. So, and we race, I mentioned we were here for the Rolex Corvette, we sell it in the showroom, and we're racing on the track. So, I think it's really going to be what we've done over the past 100 years. We got to continue to adapt and continue to link what we're doing in the showroom with what we're doing on the track, both from a vehicle, but also from a technology and propulsion technologies and the way we prepare both sides of our business, racing and the production side. So we love racing. We've got great alignment in our company around it, and we've got great partners, as demonstrated here today, as well as drivers.
Thank you. Mr. Hendrick, from the dealership side of it, obviously you deal with more than just Chevrolet, so you can kind of get the bigger picture. Are people, do you see the sedans going away and more people buying SUVs? Is that because people want that, or is it because the market says that's what's going on, if you understand what I'm saying?
Well, for us, we sell a lot of Corvettes and a lot of Camaros, but you see the crossovers are a big, you see the numbers, that's a big part of our business. And that's true across the board. That's Highlines, everybody. And so there's still performance sedan business with some of the makes, and they're still building 600, 700, 800 horsepower cars. And a lot of those cars are halo cars. Like for us, the Corvette, the 750 is a halo car, and it brings people in the showroom that buy trucks and buy crossovers too. So we need that. And there's so much of a buzz about the new Chevrolet mid-engine Corvette. We've got probably could take hundreds of orders, but we don't know how many we'll get. And so, the bottom line is, I think a lot of the soccer moms are going to SUVs, and then their husbands are driving them too, but we still have that performance end of it. When you see all these pickup trucks that come to the race or SUVs, they're either Chevrolet fans, Ford fans, Toyota fans, and the manufacturers see that.
Thank you.
Just one quick follow-up. Last year, our company sold, first company to sell, kind of over 1 million crossovers, either small crossovers or mid crossovers or SUVs. And so we're definitely investing in that, but we still have, core, I'll call them passenger car, sports car models that are in our lineup. But it's exciting. We've got to do both. You've got to transition. And the buyers are really, looking for, a little bit more functionality but great fuel economy as well. So we're able to do that both on the car side in a targeted way, but also on the crossovers, small and mid crossovers and SUVs.
Thank you, Mr. Campbell.
Well, final question from Al Pierce.
Yeah, Al Pierce from Waterway. Richard, for you, you have admitted openly, as you should have, that you lucked into the 79 win. All right? Have you ever sat down and thought, okay, that makes up for enlisted 5 or 6 that you lost like that, and it kind of evens out a little bit?
Yeah, it all evens out. We're fortunate enough to win 7 of these, and probably 4 of them we probably should have won. Circumstances probably cost me 3 or 4 races, but then circumstances gave me 3 or 4 races. So in the long haul, it could kind of even itself out. So you lose one, you come back next week and say, okay, I'm not going to make that one up, but we're going to win this one. So far, it's worked out pretty good for us.
Okay, thank you.
Before we finish up, Jim?
Yeah, I just, first of all, thanks for having us here and talking Chevy and NASCAR racing. I want to introduce a few of the folks that run our programs. Mark Kent's over here. He's our director of racing for Chevrolet, works with Cadillac and our Holden team in Australia and all things racing. Pat Suey is here. Raise your hand there, Pat, if you would. He leads all of our NASCAR programs, Cup, Xfinity, Truck. And where's Adam? Adam in the back is our Cup manager, NASCAR program manager for the Cup Series. So as the season progresses, you'll see these guys around the garage. You're welcome to grab them, ask them questions, and we'll make sure we get them into the media center as we progress through the season. And Adam's new to our team. This is his 2nd season, and so it's great to have him on here. Comes with a aero background, which is great. Also, just to close up here for a second, you think about the team owners here. Chip won the Daytona 500 with Jamie in 2010. Richard Petty, 7 Daytona 500 wins, including that 79 Monte Carlo, which is right out here outside the media center. We're just looking at it. It's amazing, and he won the championship that year as well. Rick Hendrick, they won this race 8 times. And by the way, the 99 Chevy that Jeff Gordon won in is out there as well, which is great. And then Richard, you guys won it 3 times, and obviously last year with Austin. So it was great to have a Chevy Camaro ZL1 in the winner's circle. Congratulations on that. You guys are defending champions, and we're looking forward. As obviously recognizing a great history, but what I love about these team owners, they recognize the history, but they are immediately focused on the future. What are we going to do next to win? And that's what I love about racing with these guys. It's great to be with you, and we'll see you on the track.
Gentlemen, thank you for joining us. Good luck with the Daytona 500.
Automotive stuff on. Did I break that for automotive? Oh, that's why I got That's nice.
Yeah.
We're all specifically here for that reason, so it's good. I have a question. There you go. I have a good question. It's just one at a time. I just told Craig I was thinking about it. Well, you know. Hang up and what? The Wolfgang. Good question. Where is the Wolfgang? He's usually at the day. Supposed to be here. I'm gonna need to reach out to him. That would be a great sport here. Well, the greatest answer was, do you know who Jesse Bro was? He was a radio sport, national, and he would always start with his preface for his questions. 2 questions. And so one time he was talking to Jessica. My 2 questions, if I may. Yes, I know you back. Ed Duper. You remember him, the radio guy? Wait on a second. No. 95, finished 95.
There's one team.
I think he's wrong. I know. You look at pictures.
I'm doing Kyle Busch.
I know, but I'm saying, like, are you writing it down? We haven't stopped and asked you at the beginning or anything about to see.
That's a good question.
I mean, why wouldn't somebody ask that? I don't get that. Is that gonna help the showroom? Damn. right, Christopher. You got the pictures, right? You see I went out of my box. You're fine. Sit.
Do not move.
Yeah, there is a chair missing.
Yeah, they contact with the radio
You guys have a good trip?
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Brennan's a good guy.
Oh, yeah. Great.
Which course did you guys play?
Sorrento.
Yeah, that's his course, right?
Yeah. That was great.
Good. Awesome.
If I can have your attention, we're going to go ahead and continue here in the Media Center with the second of our three availabilities this weekend, where our manufacturers and team owners will preview the Daytona 500 and the 2019 season. Sitting from left to right here, we're joined by Mark Rushbrook, the Global Director of Ford Performance Motorsports, Roger Penske, Team Penske, Jack Roush, Roush Fenway Racing, Tony Stewart, Stewart Haas Racing, Bob Jenkins, Front Row Motorsports, Mr. Lynn Wood with Wood Brothers Racing. Mark, Ford Performance is heading into the 2019 season with a ton of momentum from last season's championship and a pretty decent showing in last night's races as well. And the introduction of the Mustang obviously has created a lot of excitement. Talk to us a little bit about the process of bringing the Mustang to the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series and expectations for this season.
Yeah, just some quick comments on part of yours. The 2018 season for us was beyond expectations in terms of what our teams were able to do on track. And I'm honored to be sitting up here with all of our teams represented, and great teamwork and great performance from them. And as a company, we couldn't do what we do without having such great partners in the racing teams. And for the Fusion in its last year to take what was called the old body and get it competitive, that was the teams doing it. The process for the new Mustang, it was a decision that we took about 18 months ago as a company with our future in car, everything that we're doing, and the Mustang now being a global car, that we wanted to put Mustang in as many global racing series as we could. And given the opportunity with the NASCAR rules to now allow coupes, we started work on the Mustang, and a lot of great work from inside the company with our aerodynamic tools and with our design studio, but also strong input from all of our racing teams, because they race the cars every weekend and know exactly what they need. So with input and weekly meetings and a lot of CFD and scale tunnel and full scale tunnel, we were able to get the cars submitted and approved in the middle of the year last year, and now we've been working hard ever since then to make sure that as we start the 2019 season, we have the strongest Mustang as possible. And it was pretty encouraging last night to see the performance again across all of our teams, some strong cars out there and a strong finish in the duels. So we're pretty excited about what we have so far for a race car, definitely looking to forward to the Daytona 500 on Sunday and seeing how it performs in that race. But just excited to have Mustang in the track. Also, working with Roger and his team in Australia. We've got a new Mustang coming over there as well in, I think, 2 weeks in Adelaide. Just excited to see the Mustang and competitive on track in so many different parts of the world.
Thank you, Mark. Now, this question is for all the owners. It's not really a question, but just wanted to ask you all each to comment a little bit, talk a little bit about your team's preparation for the 2019 season with the introduction of the new Mustang, with the new rules package, just a little bit about the collaboration with Ford Performance and what you all did to get ready for this season. We'll start with you, Mr. Penske.
All right. Well, obviously, I think the advent of Stuart Haas coming on in 18, and we really began a collaboration back then from the standpoint of how to make the cars better. And with the thought of the new Mustang, all of us had the opportunity with our technical people to sit down and interface with Ford's performance team, and I think it was whether it was wind tunnel or scale tunnel or all the things that go together, I think were key, and each of us had a piece of that. But from our preparation, it was you have all these cars that are fusions, and we don't have just 4 or 5 cars in the stable. You've got multiple cars that have to be changed over, so it puts a big pressure on. But the good news was Ford provided us the pieces that are specific by NASCAR. We had those in time in order to build these cars, which I thought was good. And something we don't talk much about is that the engine program that we have from Jack and Yates, probably is the cornerstone of our success last year, and certainly when you saw it's a big piece of that. So they should get a big thank you for that. So it's just a total collaboration. We're racing each other when it comes to Sunday, but I think what we've learned that we can work better together during these races. And you could see it last night. You didn't see it, during the season last year. Look, obviously we all want to win, but I think that's key to get us to that point where you've got 5 or 10 laps to go and you got a chance to win. Is kind of what we're all trying to do.
I'd like to comment on the Mustang first of all. The Mustang is a river that runs through for me. 53 years ago, I loaded my first Mustang on the truck and took it to the Winter Nationals. And I've watched the Mustangs be raced in a myriad of classes in road racing and as well as drag racing. We've taken them to Bonneville, we've taken them to Pikes Peak, we've taken them to Europe. Mustang is, to find it taking its rightful place at the top of the stock car arena with NASCAR has been something that I've watched come over a period of time that I'm very proud of being a stable with for all those years. The toolbox that Mark Rushbrook and all the engineering staff in Dearborn and the engineering staff in Charlotte have is never had more tools in it. And the fact that we've been able to at least for the first couple of races here indicate that we're competitive with the Mustang right out of the box indicates that the work that's been done with CFD and simulation and simulator and all the tools in the toolbox has been effectively applied, and I think it bodes well for the results that we're going to have as we look at the prospects of going to the different racetracks with the different air packages and the different engine packages this year. There's a lot of balls in the air, but I'm confident in Mark and all of his contemporaries and all my friends and partners to be able to meet those challenges.
Yeah, what they said. What else am I going to say that you two didn't say already? And they're both right. The thing that's been impressive from our standpoint of Stuart Haas is that we came from a totally different culture with a different manufacturer, and when we came over to the Ford stable, how hands-on Mark and his staff are, it's just an extension, of the race teams that are sitting up here. It's not just a manufacturer that you go to and you say you need this or you need that, and it might be weeks before you hear something. I mean, these guys are very proactive. Mark's on the phone with all these race teams, constantly checking in on what can we do to be better and faster, and what can we do to help. And that's something that having that kind of support from a manufacturer is very crucial to what we do, obviously. And like Roger and Jack have mentioned, and I know these two behind me are going to mention too, we couldn't do it without these guys. So having that kind of support is huge for what we're trying to do here. As competitive as this series is, and it keeps getting more competitive every year, to have that kind of backing and the resources that Mark Rushford and his staff give us Like they mentioned, there's a lot of tools in this toolbox, and it's a lot of fun for our guys at the shop, whether it's in the aero department or driver training. Every department that we have, being able to work with the Ford side has just been a lot of fun for these guys, and they really feel that push from Ford, and it's the motivation. Not that our guys need a lot of motivation anyway, but that motivation and push that we get from the Ford side is a lot of fun, and it keeps us all going. But as far as preparation for this year, I think Stewart Haas Racing's probably been one of the teams that are used to hitting curveballs left and right, and to sit here and switch body styles over the winter, as much as that's a huge undertaking for everyone. I think it's just another walk in the park for our guys. They're so used to it, from adding teams consecutive years to changing manufacturers to changing a body style. I think it's just a layup for our guys. So, I've had all the confidence in the world in our group, and we've got cars that are fast down here, like Jack mentioned, and I think we all learned last year that, especially at the restrictor plate tracks, we get these 4 teams together. It's really hard to handle all of this if we're working together. So, like you mentioned, we all want to win the race at the end of the day, but if we're just racing each other at the end of the day, it's a lot better scenario than we're trying to race the entire field. So, pretty excited about what we've got to look forward to this year.
Yeah, and I just want to echo Jack's comments. I mean, my youngest memories as a child was riding around in my grandfather's 1966 Mustang, thinking that I'm riding in the coolest car in town. And so I'm just so proud that the Ford brand's got a performance car, that's a flagship now in NASCAR. And think about the history of the Mustang. What better car to have representing the sport? So what's so neat about it, rollouts are rollouts, and every time a new body style comes in the sport, it seems like historically there's been issues, and it usually takes the manufacturer, 6 months to a year to figure it out. And I've just been so impressed with the Ford team, with the preparation they put into this car, and from the initial results of the test and here at Daytona, I think they're pretty well going to hit the ground running. So for a team like ours, Ford is just, they partner with us, and they want to be a part of our improvement. And so the Mustang, what it brings to a team like Front Row Motorsports is a new platform, a chance to build all new race cars. And so for us, it's a new beginning. We have a great relationship with the folks at Roush Fenway, and we're building a new fleet of cars, so are they, and we're working together with their engineers. And so my hope is that this year will be a breakthrough year for us.
Well, we raced Fords forever, and so we trust their judgment, and they picked a really good one with the Mustang. Our dad had a 65 red one, and our Uncle Leonard had a dark blue one. So we were raised on Mustangs. But we have an alliance with Team Penske, and they do a nice job of giving us the best cars every week. And with Mark Rushbrook taking over the Ford program last year, I think he's done a very nice job and rolling out the Mustang, just like the GT that you rolled out several years ago. It's top notch. And obviously last night with top 3 both races, we're off to a good start.
Thank you, gentlemen. We'll open it up to questions. We have time for a few, and we'll start right up front here with Lee Spencer. Work our way back.
Lee Spencer, RacingBoys.com. Roger, with us going to new cars, according to NASCAR, in a couple of years, and cars that will reflect what you're selling in the showroom, how do we engage the longtime fan as far as reinvigorating the car culture that they were once so passionate about as NASCAR fans?
Well, I think it's got to be a relevancy to what we're selling in the showrooms. There's no question. I think that's, part of the agenda that NASCAR has, is to try to connect better with the fans, with these cars. And I think at the same time, as we look at the technology that's out there, things that we're looking at on the highway, we've got to connect, in the race cars. So I think I don't have a lot of information today on the Gen 7. I know there's lots of discussion going on, and the good news is that NASCAR is certainly connecting with the teams, not just the Ford teams, but everyone. And it's really up to the manufacturer, I think, Toyota, Ford, and Chevrolet, to be sure that it's relevant to what they're selling, because they all support us in a certain way. And I think they need to be sure that we connect with the customer, and that customer ultimately, is the fan.
We'll go over here to the right to Caleb and then back to Reed.
Caleb was looking at the tires on that. Over recent months, we've heard a lot of NASCAR executives talking about, we're here to execute Jim Francis' vision. What has been communicated to you guys about the vision? How confident are you in the future? Wayne, brother.
Vision 2. I didn't hear my name. The most important thing for everybody in the room is making the racing as exciting as it could possibly be for the race fans. You know, and the race teams do some things that are counter to that. You know, we make their engines blow up less frequently. We make our cars better with the CFD and with the finite element analysis of all the parts. You know, you don't break parts, you don't blow up engines. Goodyear does an ever improving job with the tires. So the opportunity you have to have the fans excited about the fact that an underdog, something that didn't see coming, is going to happen. You don't have that as much to play to as you have in the past. But the things that NASCAR has done with regard to the segments and the other things that they've done, the championship run at the end and the way they organize that is in the direction of making it more interesting for the fans. We've got to keep them engaged. We got to think about their attention spans and do the things. So the races may need to get shorter. That could be a cost savings all the way around. They probably need to get shorter. Some people say we need to race fewer times. I'm not sure that's true. You know, I used to tell Mike Helton if he had 3 or 4 races a week, I'd be there for him. But I don't know if I'd say that today. But anyway, keeping it exciting for the fans, the individual decisions we make that will keep them engaged and keep news or surprise coming within their attention span is very important.
We're going to right here to Reed, then to Nate, then to Steve on the far side.
Reed Spencer with the NASCAR Wire. This is for anybody who would like to take it. Conventional wisdom's always been that Daytona is a completely different animal from the races that follow. But with the new package with higher downforce, lower horsepower, what happens this week informs what happens later on to a greater extent, or is it still a one-off?
I still think it's a one-off. I mean, I think for circuit plate racing always is, but you know, the new package is definitely going to add an element this year. You know, kind of like Roger said, it's kind of a bunch of balls up in the air right now. Nobody really knows exactly what to expect, but you know, having a restrictor plate package, an open package, and now this new package, you know, I think we're all excited to see what it produces. And at the end of the day, it's all about making the racing more exciting for the fans and re-engaging the fans in the sport. So, yeah, but I think for circuit plate racing at Daytona and Talladega is always going to be an element of its own that really is separate from what you see the rest of the season.
I think too, what we saw in the test was that we'll have pack racing. I think the race is going to be a lot closer, but it won't be like the packs you have at Daytona or Talladega.
We'll stay in the middle, go back here to Nate Ryan, then we'll go far left to Steve.
Nate Ryan, NBC Sports. For Roger and Tony, you guys are somewhat biased because you guys both had wins last night, but what do you think so far about the overall quality of racing during speed weeks? And has NASCAR given you guys any indication they might make some changes for Sunday?
Well, NASCAR hasn't given us any indication they're going to change anything for sure. I think we got to put it in context. You know, the 125s, quite honestly, you know, you got your 500 car, you got less of a field, so there's less cars out there to maneuver with or either draft. So I think the racing, you know, will be certainly better on race day than maybe you saw last night. But you know, cars are trying to get up last night to the front and draft. From a show perspective, I think you're going to see, you're going to have a blanket over the cars that can win. It's just a matter of staying out of trouble, you know, on race day and working with your other Ford teammates here. But NASCAR's made no adjustments as far as maybe Tony's got one that he hadn't told me about yet, but
I've been racing myself. I haven't even been here. No, it's the thing about the qualifying races. I mean, the majority of the field's locked in anyway. So the worst thing you want to do is put yourself in a bad position to have to bring a backup car. I think from 20 years ago when I started, the backup cars weren't near as good as the primary cars. Nowadays, the backup cars are almost identical to the primary cars that are coming out, but still, you don't want to do anything to jeopardize that car that you qualified for the race. So guys are a lot more careful. You know, but we saw guys like Chase Elliott last night, Daniel Suarez, that were trying moves by themselves, and that's something that you typically don't see a lot of, where guys can move and pass by themselves. So I thought that was encouraging to see that you're not really having to rely necessarily on a whole pack of cars to help you move through the field. So watching that was, to me, it was a show as a driver and as a car owner. I caught myself really paying attention to those two guys in their races and the effort that they were making to try to figure out how to get around somebody and you know, get back in the hole and get back in line. So from that standpoint, I was entertained from it. But the big thing is just like Roger said, the more cars you get out there, the more the pack racing gets a lot better and bigger. So you know, qualifying races typically aren't as exciting from that standpoint, but it's because guys are really trying to take care of their equipment, because the goal at the end of the day is to win the Daytona 500. I don't think we put a lot of emphasis on winning the qualifying races, other than, you know, if you can win it, great, but in no way do you want to jeopardize your primary car to do so.
We'll go to the far left over here to Steve.
Steve Schweitzer, the Lasco Press. This question's for Mark. I heard a Ford driver say this week, if I can't win, I'm going to make sure Ford wins. You look at the 5 personalities that you have up there and the egos that are setting in the cars. How have you been able to create that? How have you been able to create that mindset amongst all these guys?
One of the best things of working at Ford Motor Company is it's still a family company. And the fact that Edsel Ford is here this weekend, and the presence that he has with us and support that he has is huge for our programs. And that's the way the company operates, as one Ford. And that's the way that we started to approach our racing programs here. So obviously, like I said earlier, we can't go racing without our teams. So they're an extension of Ford Motor Company, an extension of our family. So we spend a lot of time talking about where are we going to work together and where are we going to race each other across the different teams. Because we know that in those areas where we are able to have the teams work together, it makes all of them stronger. And as several of these team owners have told you, that gives them the opportunity that they can work together, separate from the pack, and then race each other for that last lap. And that helps our company and our program in total. And the stronger our company is with our motorsports program, the stronger and the more support that we can give to each of the teams. So they're all racers, the owners and every one of the drivers. But I think they understand the concept and the benefit to them all in the long run.
We're going to go right here in the middle to Dustin, then over here, and then we'll finish up with Lewis.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. For Roger and Jack, as the sport looks to contain cost, are there certain things that shouldn't be contained for teams that you should still be able to have your ability to have your ingenuity as you look forward to the future? And could you survive on a budget of say 10 to 12 million per car per team if it came to something like that, some sort of cap?
I don't think that necessarily a cap is, you'll spend more time trying to manage it and regulate it than you will looking at other. I think there's common parts across the car which can be supplied by a manufacturer, multiple manufacturers, assuming they're the same, which can take some costs out. I think that's something that NASCAR is looking at today, and the OEMs are, because we don't need to escalate it. What we need to do it have it be reasonable. I'm not sure what that cost is, but there's a lot of things we can do if you want to, and to me, those are things that we need to look as an industry, and I'm meaning the OEMs, the teams, and the drivers have got to buy into this thing too from a safety perspective. But I don't think that I'm looking at, you know, what's the cost going to be, and you know, there's always going to be costs associated, and with the technology that runs through the garage area, we can have a set of rules, and it won't take long. It'll be the next week that people have an idea how to make it better, and that's really all we want to be able to do. And what that is, I don't know today.
The fewer systems in the car that we compete on from an engineering and a development point of view, the lower the costs will be. You know, we went through a bevy of changes in the front snout last year, And the relative stiffness and the relative weakness in the chassis became something that we had to do development on. And that required more engineers and more application of fabricator time and things to try to make sure you weren't missing something that Tony had found, or that Roger had found, or that the Chevrolet guys had found, or the Toyota guys had found. The fewer of those things we have to be guarded engineering development with, the lower the cost will be. And I think with Gen 7, it's not clear. NASCAR is having discussions with the teams on how to address that, but if we're able to compete in the margins on and have fewer things that we do clean page and blank page engineering on, the lower our costs will be, and that's where we're all trying to get.
Yeah, I think we're really talking about Gen 7 for NASCAR. It's just not the car or the engine. I think it's the show, it's the length of the races, it's the where we're going to run, how we're going to run at night, we're going to run more short tracks. So let's just call it Gen 7 for NASCAR, not just the car. That's what I'd say.
Thank you.
We'll go right back here.
Steve Lewis, SpeedwayDigest.com. This one's for Lynn. You've been down here with the Wood Brothers ever since the beginning of the Daytona 500, winning with Pearson and Bain multiple times. Is the prestige of the Daytona 500 win as great today as it was years ago when, say, Pearson went to victory lane?
Yes. Our dad and uncles won the first race for Ford, first Daytona 500 race for Ford in '63. And they were over the moon, about winning that race. As it went on, we won with Pearson, we won with Cale, A.J. Foyt, and David Pearson. When we won with Trevor Bain, it was almost like it was more Eddie and myself. It was our team then versus Daddy and his brothers earlier on. But my dad, his last time in Victory Circle was here in 2011. He wasn't with us at Pocono with Blaney. But to see his smile and my mom's smile is pretty big.
We'll finish up here to the left with Lewis.
It's from Mark, Louis Franco Reuters. From Mark, the NASCAR's Hawkeye or OSS was operational last year. So how did that affect the development of the Mustang? And was it perhaps a perceptual advantage over General Motors, who had an existing car and had to adapt to it?
Yeah, as the rules adjust, we have to adjust. So we have to optimize our cars and our teams and our execution to that. So as we were designing the new Mustang, it gave us the opportunity to try to optimize for that. But the rules also changed at the same time, right? Our car was approved in the July time frame, and we didn't know the 2019 rules until well after that. So there's always things changing in the sport, and that's good, right? It keeps it healthy and exciting, and all those changes made for the right thing. But that's part of what the teams do, and what we do as an OEM is we adjust to those changes and go race.
Gentlemen, thank you for joining us today, and good luck in the Daytona 500.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. I thought
You have to work? All right. We are clean. Where you going? Oh, okay. All right.
You got it?
WNDB radio. Because why not? It's the annual WNDB radio appearance.
Yeah, I got 3.
Hello, Mr. Spencer.
Good morning, Mr. Gregg. How are you?
I'm here. What is this? Is an unscheduled practice. Look on your schedule. This is an unscheduled practice.
What?
It's 12 o'clock, right?
Xfinity.
Right. It's an unscheduled practice.
No, it's always been a practice.
Oh, it's not.
I was right again.
Free tickets for the 50th anniversary of Woodstock, the weekend. I'm going. How about we're going to run the booth?
Did you see the UPW? We did the iconic announcer.
Yeah, I think I'm going. What's the race at? Bristol? Is it? That would be a car. I'm also going to Canada.
So much experience because of NASCAR's feeder system. You mentioned the K&N car, the Gander Outdoor Series trucks. They are all right there competing on these tracks and getting this view for themselves. So when it comes time to go racing tomorrow, they're going to be far.
On my couch at my house.
I mean, it tells you what it's like to be back. Watch him work his hands as he goes through the corners. I can't do that at home. It's for this well. There's a lot that goes on to working your way through the track. That would be easy to never find out to follow along.
My daughter bought me Johnny Walker Black. No reason. Your dad from the inside. And then we made dinner together one night. She told us what's up for make dinner.
I've got a good story in the I went to my high school reunion, and one of my classmates his grandfather who built the building who built his house. But Julian himself had branched off from his family and makes brand bourbon called Rick and the burger goes for about $750. And he brought a bottle to the reunion. So we all got to sample the old Rick and the bourbon. And if any bourbon works at it, it's better.
I'm 57. And I've already starting to plan for my 60th birthday. I'm going to Ireland, to Scotland. And during the Scotch Festival, already planned, already getting tickets, already making reservations, passports.
That's a cool flight.
Whatever we need, yeah. So we're going to tour the distilleries, but we're going to go during this time. So we can, they take you a tent, and you sample Scotch.
Well, and you've got how many distilleries?
8.
Yeah, I mean, there's a good one. And that's nice.
So that's my 60th birthday.
I don't think I can talk to you into that, because I like Scotch. She's not a Scotch. She's a little bourbon.
And that, because I'm sure you've gone places that you didn't want to go. It's got to be fresh to the level.
Well, I tell you, most Most everywhere we go, places it doesn't want to be.
There's gotta be one that you can even slant. But no, I actually saw it 60 minutes. I mean, I knew about Island, I knew there was
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
60 minutes.
I saw that show.
Yeah, and they showed the Scott, the festival, and I told my daughter, I said, start making plans. She's got the itinerary, dates.
Where are you going to set it?
Don't care. I don't care if it's sleeping right here in the house.
Well, you want to find a B&B, huh?
Well, the problem is it's an island.
I know.
I've learned. That was good, yeah, thank you. You're right, I mean, well, like I said, I put my daughter here.
There's got to be.
It's an island of 33 minutes.
There's got to be some sketches to play with stadium in that way.
Yeah, but I'm sure it's like that every year.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure there's some provision.
I can see the super. They're going to get super excited.
They're going to take a ferry over.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Just be prepared for that.
On the mainland where you stay. I'm going.
Sounds great.
That's my bucket list. Just keep in mind one camera. I want to keep this on. Right now there's 7 viewers.
Okay, well, I'm not in your shot, thank God.
Right. But I'm just letting you know.
Oh, you know,
Actually, I don't give a shit.
That's debatable sometimes.
Alright.
Like this spot right here, whenever he's an AP sports radio, he found out he gets all tizzy. This means he
You can't do drama.
I'm like, dude, get over it. Do your job. Do your job well. Who cares what people say?
It had a non-canon battery.
This video, you can get photos.
3 years ago, driving for Junior Motorsports back this year. Only problem is he doesn't have his weight.
No.
Who's won in 3 consecutive seasons.
No. He's the guy, I already know what he's wrong, so. But, I mean, it's fine. I mean, that's what he did in Forest last year, so. Yeah. So, but he, but he doesn't like send that stuff until after. So, and then I put updated posters on his site too. So, alright, so I'm checking out websites too, so if I have pictures of them, I'll let you know. Okay, so, I'm just swamped.
Joey has this really car, he goes to the front. Conditions were perfect for the cars to stick. Now here in the sunshine, that's more of a challenge. This is an interesting factor. Last year made the playoffs as a rookie driving during different cars, 22, 12, 13, Penske, and then 60 around Midway. His teammate Ryan this is so. We have to step aside for fundamentals. We return 30 minutes to go.
Okay. All right.
NASCAR Junior Outdoors Truck Series tonight at 7 Eastern. NASCAR Xfinity Series tomorrow with Tier 1 FS1. And you'll miss the Daytona 500 Sunday on Fox.
I was thrilled to be able to go with my friends to our annual get-together, especially after being diagnosed last year with advanced non-small cell lung cancer.
Another true story with Kitrusi. As our kid, you are and our people, and she's getting results. We're going to start 5 years ago. In the clinical trial, the medications lived longer and saw their tumor shrink than my chemotherapy alone. It's changed my approach to treating patients. Keytruda may be used with certain chemotherapies as your first treatment if you have advanced non-small cell lung cancer and you do not have an abnormal EGFR or ALK gene. Keytruda helps your immune system fight cancer, but can also cause your immune system to attack healthy parts of your body. This can happen during or after treatment. If severe lesions happen, see your doctor right away if you have immune cough, dyspnea, shortness of breath, diarrhea, severe stomach pain, nausea or vomiting, rapid heartbeat, increased hunger and thirst, constipation, dizziness or fainting, changes in your eyesight, muscle pain, fever, rash, itching, or blushing. These are not all possible side effects. Tell your doctor about all your medical conditions, including the answers to problems. If you've had an organ transplant, had or plan to have a stem cell transplant, or have lung, breathing, or liver problems.
Where I am now compared to a year ago, it's a story like that.
Living longer is possible. It's true. Keytruda and Romark, the more FDA-approved uses for advanced lung cancer than any other immunotherapy. Live once again at Daytona International Speedway, its Xfinity Series practice is broadcast. It's also live on Fox partner Caffeine. You can watch, chat, and host your own broadcast at home. Advance your take on the event. Caffeine is available on the Apple App Store and Google Play. Download for free. Today, you're like a caffeine expert, right? Here at the Daytona International Speedway, talking to drivers on caffeine. Good viewers at home, all they do is sign up and they can chat with the drivers. And it was a lot of fun. We played NASCAR E3, and guess who was the fastest guy all day long Wednesday on caffeine NASCAR E3? It had to be one of the young guys. I would say Ryan Blankenship. Right there. Williams and not William Byron. Turns out he's good at everything. Well, he's good at that too. I like Joe's domination. He's a champ. It was so cool to see him for the first time this weekend and say, "Hey, champ, how are you?" But he told Shannon on an interview on NASCAR Race Hub, "I'm not going down as the defending champ. I'm going down as a past champ." His focus is getting more of those big trophies. Hey, I hate to interrupt this conversation, but what we're seeing at this practice is incredible. It is just that. These drivers are feeling really good about what they've got because you can see they're making bold moves. Look at the side track. Sweeping down to the bottom. You can see guys filling holes that are there. Algars all over the back of cars. This is good stuff. This second place finish a couple of years ago for Justin Allgaier really his only highlight here. He's had a lot of.
How are you this morning?
These guys are working their 18th straight here. This is a way to really understand how your car is going to handle tomorrow in the sun and the race conditions. And the other guy that's been down here and been out there in the pack. I'm big smile about this. I'm liking what I'm going to see tomorrow. I'm just rinsing up the drivers and then the confidence they stay out here for that many laps. As their tires get hotter and the car's slipping flat, they feel good about the way they handle. That gold car dropping down below the line. That die-car silver color is also we talk about the two are ready to keep second fastest. This is a run, the practice run at pit road for Briscoe. We know how important getting across pit road is. Look how hot Hendrick's coming in back there. But you just go to the class last weekend. Gander RV Duel. Both of those NASCAR's biggest stars, getting on the pit road, clock speeding. If you do that here, you can take out a chance to run the road. Well, and the reason why these guys push it so hard and drive so hard, what about the big move Denny Hamlin made coming to pit road in the class? He was able to pass cars coming to pit road, had another strong pit in and out last night in his duel that put it right out front. He was running second there on on the last lap. So Hamlin does his job getting on and off pit road and maximizing his speed down pit road. And everybody notices that the race car drivers are full of themselves. They don't want to hear about did he do it. They don't care how good he did it. They want to do it better. And so you push, he can push. So you're the
Well, actually, I'm not sure. Holly and I have to figure out the vision of labor.
Daytona Talladega, no doubt about it. Now you say, why, Mike? It's a big track and there's a lot of room. And we just saw that there is. It's because of the pack and that communication that I talked about earlier from the spotters. Just think about this, Adam. If there's a pack of 25 cars and 10 of them are going to come to pit road, you got spotters on the roof all waving. I got them coming. You know which car that is. You know, and so it's hard to communicate to your driver. And a lot of times you'll see cars get hit from behind and spun around simply trying to make a pit stop. You know what I'm excited about in 2019? The group over at State Racing. State has an crew chief, Shane Wilson, Sean's car looks outstanding. Very good. I think it's something different. But we also saw 38 of Josh Malicki, who's the driver full-time this year. Josh, of course, a guy that ran full-time a season ago. So that's some great things. This weekend, great Jeff Brady is one of Daytona 500 home runs. I can't believe it can take weeks to get our house refined.
You can beat, like the guy said, you can get to the moon in a few days. It's going to take weeks to get a refund? Do that.
That's what I'm saying.
At H&R Block, you can get an advance on your refund up to $3,000 the day you file.
We could get a pool table for the game room.
In the dining room?
Yeah, we still eat there.
Seriously? At H&R Block, you can get a refund advance with zero interest up to $3,000 the day you file. In person or online. Block has your back.
Let me ask you a question. Who's the flavor of this pool table? Crispy bacon, of course. The flavor brings a whole new dimension to the game. Bacon's not what's in it. It's just salt. When it's chips in my brain, you're wrong. And I'm a doctor, which means I'm always right. We're independent from my mouth. McDonald's Classic with Bacon, only for limited time. Is the best thing that happened to our classic? Order bacon. Try for yourself and decide.
You got your own car with your own insurance. They just no one's going to hand me down. No.
I'm not getting it. Made a lot of great dates in this car.
No, no. What makes your no crispy pan pizza different than delivery?
Let's go, Lee. Good morning.
With an emphasis on health being alive.
It's not delivery, it's DiGiorno. On February 17th, the state will be set for a recess police station.
It may be Talladega.
I don't think I'm on the Talladega list, but last year I wasn't on the Talladega list.
Yeah, just crazy.
Well, the thing is, with Talladega, it's an easy flight, and I can get up there.
Guarantee your seats before they sell out at Daytona500.com.
It's really, it's very little investment aside from time.
Yeah, good Talladega. I think we're playing the pavilion. Yeah, good. And I think Valerie's coming up to play.
Yeah.
Too. So.
And it's cool about the Richmond game. That was really neat. So Hootenanny and Aquarium.
Yeah, I wonder if Hermie will get us paid.
He's at the very least, he's offering a room.
Cool.
Last summer.
For Thursday night.
Yeah.
That's good. What's that, about an hour from the track?
Randall Burnett, crew chief for Tyler Reddick, talking things over with the boss man, Richard Childress.
Feels good.
Because it's Richard Childress Racing's 50th anniversary, and I'm telling you.
Yeah, as long as we get rim and board, that'll work.
To see Richard Childress down there.
I'd sang for my supper before.
Absolutely.
Well, how can I help you guys?
Matter of fact, I did a solo gig at Cafe Il Mondo in Hawaii for a meal.
Get a word with Reed Smith.
Yeah, I've done a few of those.
But when we talk about all these cars and drivers and teams that have changes this year, one team that just got better than 20 well, everybody has returned to this team from a year ago, so a lot of familiarity for these guys. He was the star of the draft that first round. He was ninth on the board, so happy to see. Only complaint was it moved around just a little bit more than he might like him to win, but as you guys know, that's just part of Daytona. They're playing here, they hit that road a few times, to work on single car runs, they should be done drafting today. 7 wins a year ago for Christopher Bell. Didn't go his way, so he could close the deal with the championship. So he's got a year of experience, same great race team.
God's definitely do it with the
Just make the competition every year tougher and tougher. But anything you accomplished the year before is harder to accomplish the next. Because of that, I want to make sure they're the story. You don't want to hear about like or 7 wins last year. They want to be the story. So I think it'd be difficult. He's making a run down pit road, making sure that timing is right. Listen, there you go. Starting enough to lead this. It's all been kind of sports. They got important details. You need to win here in Daytona or anywhere. But with the difficulty of pit road, I talked about earlier, especially in the first year. Working on the single car program right now. Jamie, what do you have for us?
Well, there's always so much anticipation, all that off-season waiting. You want to get in your car with Jeremy Clemens. There's a lot of work going on. You haven't even had a chance to get out there. What's happening?
I don't know. It's last minute things happen. We've all been pumping out. We might have too much in it. But yeah, really excited. We go over there for bigwins.com. Chevy out there. See what we got. And I'm watching on the Xfinity app right now. I'm watching drafting and looking at the one car, seeing what they got going on. So I'm ready to go. And hopefully we'll get it out there soon and see what we got. But yeah, 300 start. I'm anxious to be there and see what we got and hopefully win this thing. And I think we can, you know. And our car should be just as fast as Xfinity Internet, and we should be really good. So I'm excited.
Well done, Jeremy. 300 start out of it.
That's an awesome number. 31 of our 38 cars have been on track in this practice session. Maybe one of the 7 that did not. Obviously, Jeremy Clemens, we just heard. That's the crew chief. This is a fun team. Yeah, you were down there earlier. Talk to us, Dan. Tell me about this team. They might say they're got a lot of good stuff going on now. Yeah, I think that they're as excited as they've ever been. Picked up some cars from the NYC team that went away in the offseason. And so with that, it brings some life and confidence into this group. And they're a team that could contend for a playoff spot for sure. You remember they made the playoffs 2 years ago. They were able to get the victory lane on the road course and run there. Looks like you know how ready to strap in. Going North Carolina, won that race in Kentucky. It's maybe one of the biggest upsets in Xfinity history when he drove the victory back in 2007. And he's got a top 15 finish under his belt here in Daytona, driving one of the 4 cars this weekend for JD Motorsports. Teamed up with Garrett Smithley, Scott Legacy Jr. will pilot the 4. The 15 will be driven by BJ McLeod. What's the story with Justin Allgaier? 5 wins a year ago. He's in practice right now, Regan.
Well, he's out in his race car, and I think checking your heart rate monitor there. Everything good so far on that?
Good so far. You know, I think the more information that we can kind of go through, and of course the race weekend, the better. So we got a really fast frame Professor Agriculture Camaro test. Practice was good because I think that we had enough cars so you can really get out there and see what your car's going to be like on Saturday. And, it was fun out there. It was fun to get back in the car. First interview of the year, first time on the racetrack is always good.
Hey, we highlighted during that run. You got a different spotter this weekend than we've been accustomed to. And it's not with you, he's with Chase Elliott. I saw you leading in talking to Chase about his race car. What were you guys discussing about your 2 cars?
Well, I think the cool thing about having Chase over here, obviously, is the experience he's got on the cup side, this past week especially. But also, too, just he's been in these cars, he's run really well in these cars. And we were just kind of going over some things that we felt. You know, I do have a different spotter. Normally I have Chase's spotter right now. This week I have to have Wade, which has done a fantastic job on the spotter skin so far in practice. You know, finding that comfort level is going to be so important. So I wanted to make sure he was kind of thinking the same things I was, and we both kind of had the same outlook on where our cars were at. So that's obviously a good thing. Your teammates, you know, you hope you're self-driving the same as your teammates are. But, you know, I think the hardest part is going to be when you have that small of a group. It's no different than last time in the duels. You got smaller group of cars, you can do things easier or harder depending on what they are versus having a full field. So I think it'll be really interesting to see how this all translates to the race. Adam, you seem calm right now. The good news I can tell you, I saw that heart rate monitor. He does have a heartbeat still. Calm as he's standing there. Well, it sounds to me like he's not going to go out in the second practice. A couple years ago at Talladega, he did that. He brought some ice cream to the booth. We can only hope he does it again today. Because my body can still make its noise. And I take Trulicity. My body to a like it's supposed to. Trulicity is not as potent. It's my body from the first dose. It takes what I need 24/7. Trulicity is an injection to improve blood sugar in adults with type 2 diabetes or those with diet and exercise. Don't use it as the first medicine to treat diabetes, or if you have type 1 diabetes or diabetic ketoacidosis. Don't take Trulicity if you or your family have medullary thyroid cancer, you're allergic to Trulicity, or have multiple endocrine neurological syndrome type 2. Stop Trulicity and call your doctor right away if you have symptoms of a serious allergic reaction, along with swelling in your neck or severe stomach pain. Serious side effects may include pancreatitis. Taking Trulicity with a sulfonyl or insulin increases your blood sugar risk. Common side effects include nausea, diarrhea, vomiting, abdominal pain, and decreased appetite. These can lead to dehydration, Alzheimer's, and kidney problems. Right now, I order any breakfast combo. And you don't throw it off. Break out your own silverware. All you need is a breakfast combo. Get all you need pancakes for $4.99. The season is officially underway. We're talking with the Daytona 500 champion. Plus, we're teaming McMurray Fresh Daytona 500 run, along with Brandon Lucky, David Riggin, Jack House, Goldberg, and Duplicate Service. As old as we got NASCAR Racer, with 1960 we started holding on in this one. I feel like there's a real good chance that the Daytona 500 champion is a part of the lineup that will be on the hub. I know we're in an interview, regardless of who they are, and there they are getting set for shows later today. Always working hard in the race up studio. Yeah, the studio is awesome. I love the party in there. Everybody's hanging out. I can hear you. Yeah, I like it. So one of the big changes is we set off the top with Toyota going to the Supra. Here's a look at Brandon Jones. I love this car. I was out in Barrett Jackson where they auctioned one off. I think it went for $2 million. But you know, Adam, I think about it. The fresh back home. He's like, wait to watch the Xfinity series on Fox.
For those of you watching that can actually hear me, it's kind of boring to sit here and watch me work, so I'm showing you two of the mini monitors we have spread around the room during practice. The next news conference, I'll make sure and turn the camera back towards that. So thanks for watching, and if you have any questions, let me know. Hit the chat up, and I'll see if I can get you an answer.
At the top is Chase Briscoe, Tyler Reddick, John Hernandez, David about 5, Custer, Cedric, Chase Elliott, and Justin Allgaier's seat here are your top 10. Talking things over with those junior motorsports crew chiefs. Dave Ellis on the left, Noah Gregson, and Jason Burnett is the signal caller for Justin Allgaier. Since they were paired together over junior motorsports in that 7 car. They've had a lot of success last few years. Yeah, I love Jason Burnett. Calm, cool, collected, and the relationship with those two formed is just one of the best in the country. And just see hard way to see how their cars working without using their hands. It's a very important piece of the puzzle for us. There's the four, Scott Lagasse Jr. mentioned his name earlier. Great looking paint scheme. Of course, he's a local guy, St. Augustine, Florida, second generation driver. Did his thing yesterday, as he often does. They did a 45-mile bike ride here in and around the racetrack. That may have started here, ended here. But it's all about creating awareness and safety for those that are going out on two wheels. He's an avid biker and had a lot of those NASCAR drivers with him, including John Hunter Dickinson. Yeah, I'm just beginning my biking, and I do it in a parking lot, so I can get my safety out way, because it's really important. It's great exercise, but it's really important to make sure that you know your P's and Q's, and that's what that initiative is awesome. And I'm going to tell you something else about this. This race always does. Yeah, you're exactly right. On Road 60 a couple of years ago with Scott Lagasse, and he pops up from time to time in the Xfinity Series last year, but we've seen him here in the truck. And as you said, there are a couple of things that you look at on the influence, and you know when we get here at some point they will be a player. Randall Burnett, third sheet for Tyler Reddick. He was a racer as a kid. Obviously, that 50-year anniversary of Richard Childress Racing. 16 minutes to go. Opening practice. Let's get a Toyota team update. Go to the garage. We start with Regan. What do you have for us, Regan?
We talked earlier about Jeffrey Earnhardt and the best opportunity of his career. He's in one of the Joe Gibbs cars right now. A little bit of the problem with the road, though, is they sit in the garage area here. They're working on their knees, the rear end of the race car, a little bit of rear end because they've got to work out this thing. But nonetheless, the best car, focus on the right now for Jeffrey. And one of the very first times that we've ever had an Earnhardt in a Toyota, something pretty unique here.
There was, that's a good point, because normally, obviously, it's been a Chevrolet. Jeffrey Carey's has great runs over the years, the ARC Racing Series. And grandfather Dale, 32 wins here. When you talk about the competition and the duels of class, 500 or some race here, that's a long ball run. What about that documentary last night about Jeff? It was totally awesome. Congratulations on my sports. Even I believe how into that show I was. I lived all that, but being able to see it again, it was special. A little bit of a flashback. Great moments at Daytona for the Earnhardt family. That might be the best moment in NASCAR history. Dale was able to win for the first time in 1998. Dale Jr. also able to win here. Got it done in 2014 with Steve Lazar. Did you see it there? 3 500 victories for Dale and Dale Jr. Our practice coverage continues in a moment. We're live at Daytona International Speedway.
You can take the treatment of your ulcerative colitis in a different direction. Talk to your doctor about Belgium. A pill, not an injection or infusion, for adults with moderate to severe ulcerative colitis. Belgium is the first and only FDA-approved pill for moderate to severe UC. It can reduce symptoms in as early as 2 weeks, improve the appearance of the intestinal lining, and provide lasting steroid-free remission. Belgium will lower your ability to fight infections, including tuberculosis, serious, sometimes fatal infections and cancer, and it will not happen. Has tears in the stomach or intestines, serious allergic reactions, low blood cell counts, higher liver tests, and cholesterol levels. Don't start Belgium if you have an infection. Your doctor should perform blood tests before and while taking Belgium and monitor certain liver tests. Tell your doctor if you've been somewhere fungal infections are common, and if you've had TB, hepatitis B or C, or are prone to infection. You could take your UC treatment in a different direction. Ask your gastroenterologist about Belgium.
At Domino's, we love pizza as much as you do. That's why we're giving you Pizza the Power Rewards points for eating any pizza from anywhere. Pizza from here? Yep. How about from here? That's right. Only pizza? I guess. Only pizza. That's a little better. What about anchovies? Any problem. Download the Domino's app, scan your pizza, you can earn 10 Pizza the Power Rewards points. You gotta follow you. Just over 12 minutes remaining. Xfinity Series practice at Daytona with Michael Waltrip. I'm Adam Alexander, Jamie Lillard, Ricky Smith working hard in the garage. There's your top five. Chase Briscoe goes full time for the first time. And Stuart Haas, he leads the way. And of course, when you're here at Daytona, you can anticipate a little flavor. And we are getting it right now with the airport just off the back straightaway. Beautiful. Watch the jet plane coming out. Runners have been kind enough to pick up a bunch of race cars over the last couple of days, and everybody's thrilled to get that opportunity. I think Daniel Suarez went up, and did he have to use the I think he said it was okay. You ever done that? No, I mean, too big. I mean, I don't mean that the wrong way. You're 6'4", 6'5", right? I think that I'm going to do it next year. The Benedetto did it, and they just told me what a great experience it was. And I think it'd be neat. I've been trying to get my nerve up to do it. If you do it, I'll do it. Let's do it together up. President Jim Wild said, Mike, you got to get him trying. Bring it. Have you ever flown with a Thunderbird? I definitely have flown them, and I got to admit, you guys, I did use the bag. You do that. Okay, too early in the year. Tell us about Ross Chastain. That's what I was supposed to ask you about. Ross Chastain, as we know, we've documented, he has a very, very fun season. Thought he was going to be in one of the best cars in the series, and as things works out, he is in a very fast car after all, the 10 car for him. Very happy with that college racing season. In this race car for 3 races this year. That's a new team, a second team for college racing. So always good to see team owners hopping in and investing more in this series. And Matt Hogg is one of those guys that's been doing that. Ross Chastain, he's going to be fast tomorrow. He looks to start today. And that team's rolling. It's good. It's a great year. There's so much going on the track, even though this pack is smaller. Today, we got the visor cam. How's it going down the garage for you this morning?
It's great. It's always good to be back after the long off season, Michael. But Chase Briscoe, I've been listening to him, it's his first time here in an Xfinity Series car. He's on top of the board right now. He's doing a great job. He said the car was just a little bit loose, so working on handling a bit. But the key for him, the team told him, hey, our goal today, we need to prove to the guys that are good in the track, prove to them that they can run with you and they can trust you. Remember, if you don't have friends at this racetrack, odds of winning aren't so good.
Well, and here's the thing, so much of the partnership with the draft has been about manufacturing. We know the boards have been great at working together on the cut side. It'll be interesting tomorrow to see if Team Pesky and their two drivers partner up with those guys from SHR. It's going to be a little crowded in the front up here. We've already seen 3 wide racing. It's very hard to find up with certain cars when you have that type of pack, that type of intensity. That just tells me that we're going to see that all day long tomorrow. That 17 car, Chris Cox. How many times have we come out here and mentioned his name at the front of the field? Another guy who will make it to the front at some point tomorrow. Anybody's guess who will find the speed to get it done here tomorrow. So, Jardian asks, when it comes to type 2 diabetes, are you thinking about your heart? Well, I'm managing my A1C, so I should be all set.
Right.
Actually, you're still at risk for a fatal heart attack or stroke.
Even if I'm taking heart medicine like statins or blood thinners? Yep. That's why I asked my doctor what else I could do. She told me about Jardian.
That's right. Jardian significantly reduces the risk of dying from a cardiovascular event for adults who have type 2 diabetes and heart disease. That's why the American Diabetes Association recommends the active ingredient in Jardian. And it lowers A1C. Yeah, with exercise.
Jardian can cause serious side effects, including dehydration, easily cause you to feel dizzy or lightheaded or weak from standing. Serious side effects that may be fatal. This includes nausea, vomiting, stomach pain, tiredness, and trouble breathing. A rare but life-threatening inability to general irritability. Stop taking Jardian and call your doctor right away if you have symptoms of a bacterial infection, ketoacidosis, or allergic reaction. Symptoms of an allergic reaction include rashes while having difficulty breathing or swallowing. Do not take Jardian if you are on dialysis or have severe kidney problems. Other side effects are sudden kidney problems, general heart infection, increased bad cholesterol, and urinary tract infections, which may be serious. Taking Jardian will on your urine may cause low blood sugar. Tell your doctor about all the medicines you take, and if you have any medical conditions.
So, what do you think? I feel I can do more to go beyond lowering A1C. Ask your doctor about Jardian today.
There's something for everyone at Golden Corral. Let's talk about their wings. Get them sweet, spicy, even boneless. Get as much as you want for one low price. It's Wing Fest. For limited time, only at Golden Corral.
Closing on the end of the first Xfinity practice of 2019. Our coverage from Daytona presented by Toyota. Which do you think would be better for you? I would say the yellow thing for sure. Is that like the cool pond reference from Caddyshack? Pond might be best for me. Okay, Regan?
Chase Donner Elliott, former winner of this race, so a little more like from the Xfinity Series for this weekend. Tell me a little bit about it. I know you have a long season of this. Others that you can answer about a while, and Eddie and I over the years, so got a cool to be and have a good opportunity here. You know, Richie the same car, you got it working out for me. You know, appreciate for a lot of different guys around here, so easy, but you got the good drivers coming in. I think they're happy to be here. Aftershocks are coming on board this race, and love to hear out. So hopefully we can do it more, but we'll have fun here this weekend, and we've got a good win. And we can tell that Butler's a new crew chief or a rookie crew chief. He was carrying Chase's helmet in the car earlier today. I took over a tap on his shoulder, so you notice somebody else can do that while you're working on your notes for later here. These guys are excited to have him on board, though.
Great collection of drivers that will drive this season. Here's a reminder what happened 3 years ago, 2016. Chase driving for Junior Motorsports, but not the 8. In the 88 Gallagher Steve Saturday. What is that move? Being able to hold on with his steering wheel in there. He's working the tail off. He's going to get just hold on to the 22 car. And that was great for his last year. He's driving the 22. One of his 2 runner-up finishes here at Daytona. Brad has not won. That team has won. Michael, can you tell me who has the most runner-up finishes in Xfinity at Daytona without a victory? Think about that. The most runner-up finishes at Daytona without a victory in the Xfinity Series. This continues in a moment, presented by Toyota. Glad you're here. Come the race. What's that, girl? Oh, you help? Baby door. Why don't we take you home? Oh, you would take for $1. This was an emergency. Yes, I was fishing.
24-hour road testing. From America's #1 motorcycle insurer.
So I think you're my best friend. You don't have to say I'm your best friend. That's okay.
When I think of great teamwork, I think of Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. They've got the best program in the country. Highest ranked in the nation for servicing 5 consecutive years. And 9 years as the #1 in primary mortgage origination. This team really goes above and beyond for their fans.
I don't know if they asked you. We have to do for them.
Yeah, we do.
And the office is
Yeah. Where the water takes you.
We'll do that.
The hardest use for fishing classes. The world's greatest fishing school.
We'll do this. Join up with panties that's different than the living.
It's on that. It's a crispy caramelized crust. It's not the liver, it's DiGiorno. Hey neighbor, you keep turning so no spoiler. There's no spoiler thing. Well, you don't need to tell me. At CarMax, they buy all the cars. That's helpful. Just take Don. For sure. They'll buy it. Thank you.
NASCAR Gander Outdoors Truck Series.
Chase Briscoe leads the way. Xfinity Series practice presented by Toyota, off and rolling here at Daytona International Speedway. A couple of minutes remain on the board, and many drivers have already parked it in the garage. Among them, Austin Cindric. Read it.
Well, Austin, when you're talking about the break, you didn't grow. We're trying to figure out if I shrunk during the offseason. You seem even taller yet this year than last year. 7th on the board, full time this year with the number 22 team. Brian Wilson is your crew chief. How is the car so far?
Yeah, so far so good. Obviously, putting it through our paces is a drafting run. I got some good days between me and Brad to go over. It's good. Great to have a teammate with Brad. Obviously, he's one of the best on the flight track. But like I said, full season is awesome for me. Just to be able to have continuity, same group of guys, a money line on board all year for my second. So I'm excited for what's going on. We're racing cars today, Daytona. I'm excited for what's going on. Ready to get to the race car.
Thanks, Austin. Jamie?
Well, from one Rookie of the Year candidate to another, Justin Haley all finished with his practice session in the 11 car full-time this year. Well, do you feel like you were comfortable by the end of that practice?
Yeah, for sure comfortable. Obviously, it's my first time working with the college racing guys. At least those are better protection for 11 Xfinity cars. So, man, we were fast out there. Obviously, we were pretty good on the board. We got teammate Ross Chastain this weekend, and you should some stuff that he's doing to make our car a little better. But I'm going to tell you what, that thing was about as fast as Xfinity Internet out there. So, really proud to be with these guys, see what this Xfinity Series season brings. But starting off in Daytona, it's nice to be back in a race car and back in the sunshine down here in Daytona.
Justin, fourth start in the Xfinity Series.
And you nearly won here last summer. What do those last two guys have in common? Austin and Justin. You know? They're rookies. No. Came in the Truck Series. They were rookies. And they both won on the rookie course in Canada. That's right. Last 2 years. In dramatic fashion, I might ask. Both of those guys. I hope Cass Bravo is watching right now. He's going to drive for RCR stuff this year. What's up, Regan?
Down here in the Christopher Bell's garage. I'm trying to not get run over by the race car right now. Hey, you had an eventful offseason, a couple wins here and there, and now you're finally back out on track with the Xfinity cars. How's your race car today?
I think it's actually pretty good. I'll tell you what, man, I love to look at these new Toyota Supras. They're really good. They look really cool, but I'll be honest, I feel like I was a little bit more competitive than what we were last year in the Camrys on the Super Speedways.
7 wins a year ago. What do you do to have an encore performance from that? That was a great season. How do you step it up one more now?
Well, obviously 7 wins is great, but to be able to top that, we need to get better at Homestead. Whenever we went there last year, that was probably one of our worst races. So if we can get better at Homestead for this year, and then minimize my mistakes and my DNFs, I think I'm not going to say all my DNFs were my fault last year, but just try to minimize those and try to finish races whenever we can win.
Adam, he wins in everything that he gets in. We know the offseason Chili Bowl win. I would expect a lot out of him this year.
And he won at home, too. He got engaged in the offseason. Yeah, you know what I think is great about that interview? He just says, I want to be an Homestead racing for a championship. I know that. And I just got to be better down there when the chips are on the line. Let's hear from Jamie again.
Well, you know, Michael mentioned him earlier, DJ Kennington from Canada, back in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Well, what you guys find from your car here in these, first practice, about 50 minutes?
Pretty good. I mean, just running single car runs early. We got the small pack there. Everything feels fine with the Lord Toyota. Looking forward to getting out there and doing some racing tomorrow. I think we're about done for today.
Do it all, man. Own team, works on cars and drives them.
How do you think he is at Daytona, Jamie, driving a car instead of a Canada under the snowplow? Hey, let's pay off the trivia question. Most runner-up finishes at Daytona without a victory in the Xfinity Series. Who gets the nod there? No, I don't know. Adam, you asked so many good questions. Tommy Ellis. Not Tommy Ellis. Was Michael Walker from Owensboro. Well, I don't like that distinction. I've been second here a number of times. I remember 3. Who's 4? Did you have a good time with Xfinity practice? I love Xfinity practice. I'm as happy as those two are. Let's do it again in an hour, okay? What are we going to do till then? An hour and 4 minutes. We're back with final practice for these Xfinity cars, and as you can see by the pictures on your screen, it's time for the Cup guys to load up and get ready for the Daytona 500. Mike Joy, Darrell Waltrip, and Jeff Gordon in the booth. They'll take you through it coming up next. Here's the schedule throughout the day. Michael will be back here in Stu. The final practice today, not final practice for the weekend, for the 500 cars is at 3, qualifying for the trucks at 4:30, and they open 2019 with race day tonight, 7 p.m. p.m. Eastern Time. Well, after with this busy day at Daytona, it continues next live on FS1.
Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance so you only pay for what you need. Great news for anyone.
I'm the one who delivers the news around here. Liberty Mutual has just announced that they can customize your car insurance so that you only pay for what you need. This is Phoebe Buckley on location.
Thanks, Phoebe. Only pay for what you need. Let me ask you a question. What's the flavor of this new Big Mac with bacon?
The crispy bacon, of course, the flavor brings a whole new dimension to the game.
Big number championships. That's the salt. With championships, my friend.
You're wrong. And I'm a doctor, which means I'm always right.
We're just having opinion. I'm out.
McDonald's fast food bacon, only for limited time. It's the best thing to happen to our classic. What bacon? Try for yourself and decide.
Our services are designed for all families' peace of mind. Help safeguard your computers and information from hackers, phishing scams, and viruses with our free security. Parental controls are a great way to make sure they only watch what's appropriate. Plus, parental controls are available for your TV and the Spectrum TV app. Your family, your peace of mind. Learn more at spectrum.net/security center. Only Invisalign clear aligners are made with smart track material to precisely move your teeth to your best smile. See how Invisalign treatment can shape your smile up to 50% faster today at Invisalign.com.
Pain wants to stop you. Block you. Like that's gonna happen. I see how. I see the goal to relax. Rise from pain. I see how. From the beach? Oh, yes. That'd be great. A 2.5-mile ribbon of speed. Daytona Beach. Since the last turn of the century, it's been the home of great speed runs. So now that action has moved a bit west of the world's most famous beach. Presented by Toyota, this is practice for the NASCAR Cup Series. 74 degrees, a lot of sun brings the track 10 or 200. Totally unlike anything we saw for qualifying or for last night's duel. So the field is set for Sunday's Daytona 540 cars strong. But we've got 2 practice sessions today and then tomorrow for these cars that you couldn't touch since qualifying. Now you can change everything. Well, that's what this practice is all about. This is a fix-it practice. So you don't do the 60 laps last night in the qualifying races, but you know what you got to do your car. Either what handling well, what running well, or what drafting well. This is a chance for everybody to get out here, work on their cars, and get them ready for the Great American Race.
Yeah, now take a step further back. Talked about 150 miles, 60 laps last night at duel. Now they got to get ready for 500 miles. Grueling 500 miles. We saw our handling wasn't a big issue at night last night, the cool temperatures, but during the day, and the weather's going to be warmer on Sunday, these cars are going to have to handle, and boy, just to get through 500 miles, these teams have to do their homework to make sure that car is there at the end when they need it.
So a lot of work to do, and 50-minute practice session today, and practice again tomorrow to get everything tuned up and ready for Sunday's Great American Race.
Spencer. Your hearing can't be that bad.
Oh, terrible.
What's up?
between rock and roll and the garage is pretty tough. How old are you? How old are you?
Thanks to my age.
Which is what?
I hit 60.
I've been around a lot longer than you have.
And if you have the Thumbtack app, you'll be able
What?
to hire people just as
But
fast
not old.
like painters and cleaners and plumbers. Thumbtack's the app that
I just gave up a couple of years ago and said, screw it. I mean,
reviews.
I have to acknowledge that
You're only as old as you feel.
Now you can pick your house the same way you do everything else.
every day I go to Dunkin' Donuts and order my coffee and ask for the senior discount. And half the people order
Ford Expedition has more second and third row layout than
discount.
Well, I get his
better fuel economy. And as JD
And IHOP, you can get a killer breakfast for like $3.50.
Oh yeah. I've been doing that for several years.
Yeah, they started that at 50.
Now get 0-72 on Expedition, or get the 4,500 cash back in a 2019 Escape and a 2019 Explorer or Expedition. Only at your Carolina Ford dealer.
Penske 81.
Game safe.
He's 84. He's fairly indestructible.
Oh yeah.
Killer bees, bulldozers overturned.
I want to show you something.
You know.
See how the Swiss cheese mingles with the tangy clouds and the warm beef on this roof?
Two different types.
Sandwiches. Check out this.
What did you do during your downtime?
What
Monday and Tuesday?
What downtime?
Crackdown.
Oh, you mean this week?
Yeah.
Well, we played golf.
Where?
At Daytona Club.
Ready for
And
Daytona 500 practice presented by Toyota. Joey Logano at the head of the line.
we went to
where
do
he
Smyrna.
finished last night.
You down to Lake Mary, you staying up
The
here?
big move.
We're in Lake Mary.
Lap to go.
Which property?
Joey Logano
Spring
drops
Hill.
down. His Penske Ford
I'm at the big Mary now.
Blaney goes
They've
with it
remodeled
after
it.
Logano makes the side draft. Right there at
Fairly nice.
Does it have a concierge on it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay,
Side
good.
was really important, but you saw how the 22 of Logano wiggled as he tried to
It's,
make that move. Risky move, but it paid off.
Yeah, I think as much as they could have been, it was a perfect storm for Logano. He got the side draft. He got
And it's
12.
30
The
minutes.
11 wasn't enough
Yeah, that's all.
14 to help him keep his momentum up, and I think it just worked out perfect for Logano. Jake Little, he went from fourth to first in one lap.
Well, we were all impressed, but so was his team. I walked up in their holler a little bit ago, and they had that trophy on full display. And as soon as I mentioned what Joey did last night, they all lit up. They just love the confidence of their driver heading into this speed weeks and this Daytona 500 on Sunday. I just checked with the team, and they said, even though the car seems great, we still have a few things we need to try. We need to find a little bit more speed. So watch for the 22 to make 3 runs here, about 45 laps each run. And then second practice coming up later, they will focus on drafting.
Mustangs certainly ran wild last night in the duel. Kevin Harvick won the first one. Now, typically on the Friday morning after the Twin 150s, you can see the Bondo dust flying in the air. There's a lot of sanding going on, making repairs after those races, but very uncharacteristic. Not a lot of repair work being done. A lot of movement, though, in the Ford camp, and reason being. Think back to the Clash practice last week when Kevin Harvick spun. Remember how the hood came up when he spun back around, the air got underneath and buckled some of the hinges? Well, the Ford teams have swapped out all their hoods, going to a much beefier piece for the 500. So they made all those changes this morning. They're good to go. Harvick will go out in the second practice, make a run, maybe 2, if all goes well. Guys?
So, Mike, what these engineers come up with, they have an A setup, and that's what's in the car right now. And then you'll try a B setup, and you'll see if that's better or not. If the driver's not sure, you'll go back to your A step. You consider it ADA. They swap back to the Ford trying to find something better than what they got right now.
And I think that what's on the mind of a lot of these drivers and teams right now, as you see some cars getting in the draft here, is they saw some handling characteristics that appeared last night that they haven't seen yet down here at Speedway. Now that they were in the spring river conditions, they're looking at the weather. They know that the track's going to be slicker on Sunday. How do you compromise speed and grip and find that perfect balance?
Watch that 36-man Tim. He is not even moving in the corners. got big drag there. Probably a little less air pressure right now with the race. Right, you got it under race conditions, got the air pressure down a little bit. That may go away, may not. But listen, last night the track was 60 degrees. Remember? Today, what is almost 100? And it'll get hotter. I mean, today we're going to get a little bit hotter. When it gets hotter, it just gets slicker and you lose grip. Last night, Ford swept the top 3 spots in both duels. That's the first time one make has done that since 1982, when Buick Fords are pretty dominant. I'm just saying that right now, came into the sport a few years ago. They were adamant about all of the teams working together, sharing notes, setups, working together on the racetrack. I think they still do that. What I saw out in the Fords at Talladega last fall was gearing for the Great American Race. What I see. I mean, I know you got to put yourself in a position, a various position, to know what you're going to have on Sunday. Be a little more cautious. These guys are pretty reckless right now. They're even minutes for sure. You got to put yourself in a position. I'm going to have a few. Riding on the board, the Vice Championship, Ryan Reese. There's a lot of that's not the case for doing this. There's very little difference between the helmet and the Reese. You can see he's running a much shorter, less style, rest on his car. And so he's got a lot of room to model in that car. Let's see what you see now. Wait till we come back here in July. Wait till he runs a 500-mile race and then gets out. He'll be putting that big interesting here. Work in progress for the talent of
Last time we were here in Lake Daytona was last July, and he went to victory lane, so now he's back, and you're just kind of standing here talking to the guys. How good is your car?
Yeah, it's pretty bad for speed all weekend. I felt really comfortable and just been able to hook up really well. It's drove really good. So overall, it's one of the better cars I feel like I've had in Daytona in a couple of years. And better here. And, we'll see what Sunday brings with hotter temperatures, but I think we'll see about it so far.
So one run, and that's it for today?
We're done. As long as everything goes good here on this run, we're probably go back down and just kind of chill out, make sure everything's good for Sunday.
Third season in the Cup Series.
I think these conditions on Sunday may really bode well for Aaron Jones because he won the race here in July. He was riding slick, even though it was a night race. That track tempo is still pretty high, so that tells me, of course, he survived. That card is pretty awesome.
Oh, no.
I agree 100% with you. He's a great, talented driver. Young man, I like him a lot. But that team, I got to bring it to him mistakes. When you get to the end of the race and win them, is you don't make mistakes everywhere.
What you see here when you watch this group, like two three children's cars right up front together trying to work back and forth with the Hendrick Chevrolet. A lot of Chevrolets. You've got to believe they took those. They built this